Hey, so today what we're going to do is I am going to show you how to do DFS, or daily fantasy sports. And we're going to start with FanDuel. There's also DraftKings, which is a really good one. I just have an account in FanDuel. So you saw there, I clicked on FanDuel. And we're going to do this. I'm actually going to do a live entry. It is a Saturday night. Well, now it's Sunday morning. The games are live right now for tomorrow. So we're going to do one that's Sunday. We'll do just starting at the 11 o'clock games. We won't include the Sunday night game or the Monday night game. So you can see here, I'm on the screen, and this is going to be done basically for noobs, inexperienced players. I'm still able to qualify as inexperienced, and don't think that I'm like some kind of expert or awesome at this. I've won some decent money, but more often than not, I just do okay. I was really close one time to winning $20,000. I was one touchdown away from, if Odell Beckham would have hooked up earlier this year, one more time on Monday Night Football, I'd have been in there and got like $4,000 out of the $20,000 that I would have shared. But I ended up winning $60. So not quite as much, but it was still fun. So if you see here, you see that I have an account right now. Not like I'm rich or anything. I have $11.96 in it. Let's go here, and we're going to click where it says all contests, okay? Now let's go down to NFL. Let's go to intermediate NFL contests. And look, I like these ones here that you have a chance to win a lot and, you know, no huge loss. So we're going to click up here on the 120,000 Sunday NFL Huddle, $3 entry. You know, if you wait until Sunday morning to try to get into these games that are for intermediate people, they'll be sold out and you won't get in. So again, very early Sunday morning, late Saturday night. I'm going to click here. It's $3 entry. No experienced players allowed. Okay, so I'm going to do enter new lineup because I already have one lineup I did that was free. This is $3. Enter new lineup. Now here, if you look up top, it says $60,000 salary. This is fake money. This is your free agent budget, fab budget. And right now you could go $6,666. Ooh, an evil number. At least it wasn't 666, but per open position. So I like to always go down to the defense first because that's the lowest one. So go down here, defense, and how crazy is this, right? All of a sudden, the Denver Broncos with their coach, who I shall not say his name, although he's doing better. I give him all the credit when they sucked. So I got to give him some credit now that they're doing a little bit better. All of a sudden, the Broncos defense tomorrow against San Francisco is the most expensive to buy. Who would have thunk it? Especially with all the injuries. You know, with Chris Harris being out now, and Tremaine Brock, I think, is still injured. We've got a lot of young guys in that Denver secondary. But then you got to think we have the best edge rushers in the NFL as far as sack totals. You've got Chubb on one side, the rookie, who's up at 10 sacks this year, which is incredible for a rookie. And then on the other side, of course, you have the best in the business, Von Miller, who's at, 12 and a half, 13 sacks now. So the best two edge rushers, which really make any secondary look good. But no, we're not going to do Denver Broncos because they're expensive right now. What I'm going to do, big hint I'm throwing out there, there is a guy that got back into the NFL. I do not know how, but he is the butt fumbler. Yes, the poor Redskins. After they lost Alex Smith, and then they went down to Colt McCoy. Now they have been forced to put I am the butt fumbler, the Sanchez for the Redskins is playing. And if you look down here, I'm scrolling, you see one of the cheapest defense is, we're looking for it, is right there. The New York Giants are going to be going up against the Sanchez, the butt fumbler, and he sucks. So for $3,500, we can get that Giants defense going up against a really, really bad offense being led by Mark Sanchez. So there you go. There's $3,500. And now if you look up top, now all of a sudden we can spend $7,000 per open position. So now I like to jump in there and check out the quarterback position. One of the things I look into really heavily for my daily fantasy sports or DFS is what the over-unders are. The games that Vegas, the big boys, think are going to have the most points scored are generally who you're going to want to have your quarterbacks and players from. And this week, if you look, you see that New Orleans, as they say, and Tampa Bay, the first game, it was in New Orleans, the first game of the season, and believe it or not, Tampa Bay won. that game, and then New Orleans won like 9 or 10 in a row after that, and the score was like 52-49. I mean, how crazy is that? Like 101 total points. So the huge over-under this week is New Orleans versus Tampa Bay. You see Mahomes up there. Of course, Mahomes, he's good. It seems like he wakes up and gets off the bus and has 4 touchdowns and 300 yards passing. But it should be a good one there, as he's going up against the number 1 ranked defense in Baltimore. And I believe they're the number 1 ranked offense overall. So that should be good. But that Baltimore defense, I think, will put up a little bit more of a challenge than some of these other teams. You see Roethlisberger, Pittsburgh at Oakland. They should put up a ton of points as they like to get some revenge after losing to San Diego. Breeze, as I said, is in a game where he should score a ton of points. But these are all really expensive guys. Cam Newton, Carolina at Cleveland. Yeah, that might be lower scoring than people expected. Cincinnati at LA Chargers. I think Phillip Rivers is going to have a huge game. But all these are expensive. The usual suspects. Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers. He's going to come back huge. They finally got rid of the coach that he hated and who sucked. McCarthy, may you go away and never be seen again. Thank goodness for Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to have a huge game, but he's so expensive. And then Andrew Luck, after putting up a 0 burger last week, 0 points, losing 6-0, he may come out and do well. But again, it's expensive. So you see here Deshaun Watson. It comes down for me between this Deshaun Watson, Indianapolis, I should say, at Houston, and then Jameis Winston. Now think about it. I said the highest over-under is New Orleans and Tampa Bay. So all these other quarterbacks, good, but I really like Winston or Deshaun Watson because, okay, watch. If you click on the player, now you go up here to game log, and you see that with Houston, they're in the same division as Indianapolis, and so they've already played them earlier this year. So I like to go look, see how they did the time before when they played. It's a good reference for what they might do. You see up there, it says versus Indianapolis Colts. They're ranked 11th overall. They're right in the middle, 15th versus the pass, and 12th versus the rush. So Indianapolis is just very average. They're not horrible. They're not great. They're right in the middle. Press that button up there. It says game log. And now you see, last week, Deshaun Watson had scored 15.96. The week before, 29.4. So scroll down and find, there it is. Against Indianapolis on 9/30, which would be what? April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Yeah, so September 30th, he scored 32.1 fantasy points against Indianapolis, which is pretty awesome. He was 29 out of 42 for 375 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns. He ran for 41 yards and had a rushing touchdown. So if you're saying, hey, what happened the last time you played him? On 9/30 of 2018, Deshaun Watson had 32.1 points. So that's a good reference. And that looks pretty good. So let's drop back, go down to Jameis Winston. Now remember, he's had a crazy season this year. He's been up and down and up and down. He was starting after he came back from that 4-game suspension or 3-game suspension. But the Fitzmagic was doing so good that Fitzmagic had the starting job for a while. He then lost it. They put Jameis Winston in, who did good for a couple games. Then Winston had a horrible 2 or 3 interception game. They put Fitzmagic back in. Then Fitzmagic played for 2 games, and he sucked. And then they put Winston back in. Now Winston, being on the 4th year of his 5-year rookie deal, is looking to make his money, whether it be in Tampa if they decide to keep him around for another year, or on the open market. So he has a lot to gain, and he's one of those type of athletes that I'm sure it's all about the money, or beating up Uber drivers, or stealing crab legs, whatever. He's that guy that's going to know that it's all about the way he finishes these last 4 games, the kind of money he's going to make. So if you see, New Orleans is the 16th overall ranked defense, exactly in the middle of the 32 teams, but versus the pass. Look at that. They are 30th. They suck against the pass. Against the rush, they are the best. How crazy, right? They're the best at stopping the run, and they are basically almost the worst against the pass. So he's our guy. If you look at the game log recently, since he got the starting job back, he's gone 22 points, 23 points, 17. And that game where he came in at the end, he had 12.84. So let's go ahead and go with him because he's not too expensive. And now, you look at your running backs. I like to go again to the tight end. So forget the running backs. Tight end can be cheap if you go right, and it has been a wasteland this year as the tight ends have been really terrible. There's been 3 or 4 guys that have been almost every week. And leading that is Kelsey. He has been the man. Only a couple bad games, and the rest were huge. Ertz for Philadelphia has been amazing. And believe it or not, Kittle and Ebron have been two of the top. And now you've got, of all the years, all of a sudden Gronk kind of sucks. He's had really one or two decent games. Last week he finally caught a touchdown. But it's the first time in many, many years that Gronkowski is not one of the most expensive tight ends, because he's only averaging 8.94 fantasy points per game. You see it right there. So when I look through this, I don't like to go really expensive on the tight ends unless I know it's a for sure thing. And with Kelsey going against the number one defense in Baltimore, I don't think it is. Philadelphia against Dallas. Let's click on him. Let's look at his game log. So against the pass, Dallas is 7th. Against the rush, they're 4th. They're overall 4th in the NFL. Dallas have been playing some damn good defense lately, guys. So it shows it. And if you look, when they last played Dallas, I see that, holy cow, Zach Ertz had 16 targets. He caught 14 for 145 and 2 receiving touchdowns. That might be really hard to turn down, even at that $7,400 mark. So, if I want to go really cheap, I go down here. Jimmy Graham is coming off that injury, and he's going up against Atlanta. Atlanta sucks defensively this year also. Here's the guy I like. Let's go cheap. Under Jameis Winston, Cameron Brate is basically that guy that scores almost a touchdown a game when he pairs up with Jameis Winston. Since they lost their stud first-round tight end just a couple weeks ago to an injury, old OJ, you see that Cameron Brate now 5.1, 10.1, 2.6. Not so good, but when you go down lower, when he's playing with Jameis Winston, touchdown, 10.4, 10.9. So he usually does real well when he plays, but not a lot of yardage. So let's go back up. Let's go ahead and try this. Let's go with Ertz. Even though he's really expensive, we're going to have to go cheaper at some other positions. But, man, the amount of points he scored the last time is just huge. So now running back. Here's the thing, guys. Remember, look at injuries. James Conner, the starting running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's out this week. And, man, that hurts my other fantasy teams. But so you think, okay, who's going to be the backup? Who's going to be the starter? Well, it's somebody way down here. You see me scrolling? It's almost off the board. A lot of people may not even think this, but I tell you, the experienced Sharks are going to know this. And you look down, you got to find Pittsburgh. There we go. Look, right here. See Jay Samuels in the middle? And you read it. It says, Samuels indicated Wednesday that he would start at running back in Sunday's game against the Raiders, but he added that he and Stephen Ridley are slated to split time. Well, if you look at the game log, this last game, as soon as Connor came out, you immediately see that he had 2 rushes and he had 3 passes thrown to him. He had 3 receptions, 20 yards, and a touchdown. He had 10 points in just literally a few minutes of time, and he's only 4,600 bid bucks. So there's my guy this week. He's the secret. He's so low, it allows you, now look up top, you can get for $7,360. You can spend that on every single position. So let's go back. Now, let's not go cheap on our next running back. And one of my secrets all year that's not a secret anymore, man, he's my favorite guy. Philip Lindsay in Denver. All of a sudden, he's up there in the top 6, 8, 10 guys at the running back position. But I think he's going to have a huge game tomorrow. They're going to run the ball like crazy. If I switch on it, you see that the 49ers are 15th against the rush, 12th against the overall 12th, and 13th against the pass. So to me, they're right in the middle, and the Broncos are going to run the heck out of the ball, and Lindsey has been the guy lately. So let's spend expensive on him. Now let's go down. Let's look at our wide receivers. We're going to have to go cheap on one. So let's remember, I'm going to go with another homer pick here with the Broncos. So remember, this week we lost our stud. We lost Emmanuel Sanders. So that means right here, Cortland Sutton, very cheap, becomes the number 1 receiver for the Broncos. Heck, it's the game I'm going to be watching anyway, so why not be rooting for Sutton and Philip Lindsay against a really bad San Francisco team? So there you go, the new number 1 receiver in Denver, Cortland Sutton. Now look up there. You have $23,300 salary remaining. That means we can spend $7,766 per open position, and that's pretty good. Most of your studs are about $7,300 to $8,000. Some are more expensive than that, but we don't need that. So let's go now with our next wide receiver. And let's try to pick another superstar. Remember now, we talked about it. The over-under is huge in that game for New Orleans versus Tampa Bay. I'd like to pair up the receiver with Tampa Bay. And look right here. Mike Evans is the number one receiver. And it's nice to go head-to-head. You go quarterback and his best receiver in that highest over-under. Go all the way down to the bottom there. You see against New Orleans, the first game of the year, he had 7 catches for 147 yards and 1 receiving touchdown, 24.2 points. I like it. And you pair up your quarterback with a receiver. So we're going to go back here, and we're going to choose Mike Evans, and that's right there around the money we were allowed to spend. Let's go to our next receiver. We can spend $7,800 if we don't want to go with a super stud. What is that right there? So let's see. I look right here. Last week, Pittsburgh, man, they had a rough one as they lost a heartbreaker to the Chargers at home. They go on the road against a horrendous, crappy team in Oakland who's playing to lose. And if Chucky doesn't trade away another one of their stars during the game, I'll be shocked. I like Juju Smith-Schuster, $7,500. And now look at that. Our flex position, a stud running back or a stud receiver, we can spend $8,100. So let's see who we've got if it just pops right up. Oh, how about that? Odell Beckham Jr. But if you look, there's an O there, which means he's out. How about that? Odell Beckham will not play Sunday against the Redskins. That is a pretty huge deal. That just came out, just happened. And it says it's a surprising turnaround given that Odell was listed as a limited participant on Friday, but he didn't carry an injury designation. And all of a sudden now, boom, he is not going to play. So that means the running back for the Giants, even more so, Saquon Barkley is going to have a huge game. And you're going to see Sterling Shepard do a lot. So, man, that is a crazy, scary information. We could go with Travis Kelce. We could go with Keenan Allen, Nick Chubb, a bunch of stars. But let's go up here now and look how expensive. We might have to move it around a little bit. Saquon Barkley, man, he is $8,900. But, man, I like the chances of what he is going to do, especially with no Odell Beckham Jr., but maybe Washington just says, hey, we're going to do everything to stop him. So let's just stick with where we're at here now. I want to be able to finish. So Kelce for $8,000. Now, I love the tight end, but again, against Baltimore, look at this. The worst team maybe playing right now, Cincinnati. You got Keenan Allen, and man, he is a stud lately. 29, 16, 19, 14, 18. And that is Phillip Rivers going with him. So boom, let's go $7,900. Keenan Allen. And now we have $200 left. Now, do we want to, if we look, who we could have the 49ers against Denver? No. Arizona against Detroit? No, they suck. The Eagles against Dallas. The Chiefs against Baltimore. We could get Dallas versus Philly? Almost. But let's go up here. How much would be the next most expensive? Nope. We're just going to look who we could get for a little bit more. For $7,900, nobody. Okay, now how about for quarterback? We could go up to Andrew Luck, but man, I like Winston in that high-flying battle. Lindsey, we could go up to 81. Nope, there's nobody there. So how about here? 76, T.Y. Hilton. You know what? I really like where we're at. We really don't need to look to upgrade any higher to 8,100 because there's just nobody there. So that $200 could just sit there. I like our lineup a lot. So there you have it. And it's Winston. And he's teaming up with Evans down there. You got Samuels, the running back for the Steelers, replacing their stud Connors. You got Phillips Lindsay. You got Juju Smith-Schuster, Sutton, Ertz, Allen, and the Giants defense against the butt fumbler. I really like it. And I'll come back on and I will let you know how this lineup does. Hopefully we win a ton of money and have a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in. That is how you do a really in-depth beginner's version of picking a team here on Daily Fantasy Sports on this site, FanDuel. Have a good day.